Good morning, fourth grade. Now, before we get started, I have a quick announcement to make. Starting next week on Monday, our Zoom live stream, the hour will change. The time that I will be available on the Zoom live stream will be from 1:30 till 2. So it will be one big group, and the time will be from 1:30 to 2 p.m. Our individual office hours, where you can meet with me one-on-one if you have any questions about any assignments, that time is now from 2 o'clock till 3:30. So our Zoom live stream where you can connect and we can complete our assignment together is from 1:30 till 2. Our individual office hours are from 2 to 3:30. Now let's continue. Today we are going to learn about fossils. Throughout this week we have been reading we have done readings and watched videos about where fossils come from and what we can learn from them. So what we are going to do today is we are going to go through this PowerPoint so we can learn more about fossils and also add notes to our journal. We're going to be adding our focus question and vocabulary about fossils. You are going to use 3 pages in your journal. We're going to use page 16, page 17, and page 18. I will now show you how to update your table of contents so we can add pages 16, 17, and 18. So now that you have updated your table of contents, please turn to page 16 and we are going to write our focus question. Focus question is, how do fossils get in rocks and what can they tell us about the past? Please write this question on page 16 of your science journal. Right now, we are only adding the question. As we continue to learn more about fossils and are able to complete our experiment, where the next week we'll come back and answer our question of how do fossils get in rocks and what can they tell us about the past. We are going to go through our PowerPoint to learn about fossils, and at the end of each section, I will show you a page of my journal so you can add the notes onto your page. So let's start out by learning more about fossils. Who studies fossils? So there are two different types of scientists that study fossils. Geologists are one of the scientists that study fossils. Geologists study rocks and how they are formed. Paleontologists are scientists that ask questions about what life was millions of years ago. Together, paleontologists and geologists work together to find fossils and make discoveries. So these are three different types of fossils. Here we see kind of what looks to seem like a shell, maybe from a snail. Notice how it looks like it is been pressed together. You can see the many details. Also, we have another fossil here of an animal. What kind of animal do you think this fossil is? Can you make a prediction? And then at the bottom, we have a fossil of a plant, which seems to be of a fern. It looks like it was pressed into this rock and left an outline of what this plant looked like. Now my question is, how do these fossils images get formed into the rocks? How does it go? How does the fossil stay in the rocks, and how does it last so many years? Fossils form in sedimentary rock. When an organism dies, especially near a water environment, it is buried in layers of mud. In this layer of mud, over millions of years, under pressure, with building up on top of each other, these layers end up turning into sedimentary rock. And when geologists or paleontologists are digging around the rocks, they're able to dig and find the fossils, whether it be an imprint of the fossil, or if it'll be the actual mode of the fossil. They are able to dig through the layers and find different fossils. Sedimentary rock is a rock that forms when layers of sediment, like sand, get stuck together over millions of years. And with that pressure, those layers get stuck together and they form a rock. A fossil is any remain, trace, or imprint of an animal or plant life that is preserved in the Earth's crust. Like we know, the rocks are arranged in layers. There are many different layers that are built up. Superposition is that the lower sedimentary layers, the ones that are at the bottom, those are older than the layers that are at the top. So we know that the fossils or rocks that are found deeper in the earth are much older than the ones that are found at the top. We'll now pause to give you an update of the journal. You will have 4 minutes to add your information to page 17. If you need more time, this page is now uploaded to our journal check. So you can go to Google Classroom under Journal Check, open up the Google slide for journal, and you will find this page. We know that fossils form in sedimentary rock. We know that fossils are any remains, trace, or imprint of an animal or of a plant that is preserved in the earth's rock. But did you know there are different types of fossils? We are going to go through the 5 different types of fossils. At the end of us going through these different 5 types, you are going to, on page 18, we are going to add a chart that shows that tells us of the different types of fossils. But first, let's see the first type of fossil. Petrification is when an organism is covered by sediment and it eventually turns into stone. Second type of fossil that can exist is a mold. When a fossil is formed when an organism dies, is then covered by the sediment and the animal that is inside, it decays and leaves this empty space in the rock, kind of like how you see in this picture. Seems like it was a snail. It looks like it was a snail or some type of animal that lived in a shell. The actual animal was decayed. However, the outline of its body left an empty space in the rock. And now a mold works together with another type of fossil, which is a cast. A cast is when the fossil forms when the mold is filled by minerals, and the minerals begin to take the actual shape of the mold. The cast is more of a it's like more 3D, and you can like touch the different ridges. A mold is more of like a hole. And fourth type of fossil is an imprint. An imprint is a mark or design made by pressing on a surface. One example we see here is an example of a leaf, which probably this type of leaf fell into us probably this leaf fell into an area of mud, and it left its outline, and over the years it as the rock was pressured, it was able to have this outline of a leaf. Another example of an imprint is the footprint of an animal just being left on the mud area, and as the mud hardens and gets built up, that imprint or that outline of the animal's feet is still present on the rock. There are many different types of fossils that can either show just a part of the fossil, like its footsteps, part of their body, and then there are preserved remains. Preserved remains are what usually show organisms, sometimes all of the organism or part of the organism that remain exactly the same as they died. It usually occurs in cold environments when an animal can be caught in like a glacier and freezes over time, and then millions of years pass, and we are in present day, and the glacier can be explored by geologists and paleontologists to discover the animal, or it can also happen with tree sap. Little insects sap is this liquid that comes from trees, that comes from trees, and little insects can be caught inside the sap. And when that sap hardens, it becomes really hard, like a rock. And we can see here that is an example of what seems to be like a spider that was caught in the tree sap. I will now show you page 18, where you will draw a chart of the types of fossils, which are petrification, when an organism turns into stone; a mold, which is when an organism is covered by sediment and when the body decays, it leaves a empty space in the rock; a cast, which is formed when inside the mold, when minerals fill up the space, creating a cast; an imprint, which is a design that can be left by plants or animals, and preserved remains. Just a reminder, you have time to add this page into your journal now. However, if you need more time, this page, along with page 16 and 17, have been updated into our science journal check. So if you need to take a look there to take your time, that is okay. Don't forget to update pages 16, 17, and 18, as well as your table of contents.